Hello, welcome back to MCFC Connect. Today we're going to be talking about on stream. We're going to be talking about Man City's potential 11 for next season. Is it a bit early to be speaking about this? Maybe, but I want to talk about it because there's just so many rumours going around recently. Cambiasso, Wirtz, Rodrigo, Wesley, Reinders. So many different rumoured names to be joining the club. Not many exits. Okay, we obviously know Edison very well could be on the way out, with Costa potentially replacing him. News from Fabrizio Romano here. Tino Livramento is among the options under consideration for Man City at right back. There's a 4-man shortlist in that position, and City has yet to decide. So, look, we know what that list is, don't we? We know what that is. Livramento. Wait, I'll show you my screen so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And we will do the lineup building in just a moment, though. Wirtz, yes, welcome to the chat. We're obviously gonna get we're gonna speak about the new stuff soon. We're gonna speak about all the news, all the transfer news and whatnot. But new kit thoughts, how are you? I'm good, thank you. And my new thoughts on the kit. Look, I like the idea of the sash. The most off-putting thought of the leaked kit was the colour. I wasn't very excited about the colour of our shirts. I thought the blue looked very weird. I couldn't put my finger on it. But here it is. There's a kanji wearing it. And oh wait, my bad. There you go. Now you can see it. There's a kanji wearing it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's grown on me. I think we've nailed the blue. I think it's really nice. Definitely better than the last 2 seasons, I feel, for City and our home kit. So I do feel like we are very much in the correct direction with this one. I like the sash, how it's not just a solid line. I like how it's a bit funky. Different stripes, so different shades, I guess, of it. Aguero, how long ago was that? 13 years. It feels wrong, guys. It feels wrong. It feels so wrong. Centurion Season Blue. I love it. Centurion Blue. That was kind of what I was thinking. I literally thought to myself that this shirt reminds me of the Centurion shirt. I was literally thinking that. I'm glad I'm not going crazy there, because you've reaffirmed what I was thinking. Because I was thinking, is it like Treble Season Blue? I feel like Treble Season Blue is a bit different than that. So, I wasn't quite thinking it was Treble Season. I think the Treble Season is a slightly different shade. Centurions, though, I think Centurions Blue, is the personification of blue for Man City. That is Man City blue. There is no more blue that screams Man City more than that. We'll get a quick look at it here. First time we've used it since Then Connect, in my opinion. Yeah, the closest we got. Even the following season, the blue did slightly change, didn't it? In our 18-19 kit. I did like 18-19 kit. But yeah, 18-19 wasn't too bad for kits, but just didn't seem too big of an evolution of the 17-18. I'm going to pull up an image of the 17-18 kit now. I know you're looking at a picture of company right now, but there's this blue. You just don't get more blue than it. Worst kit by far, 1920. Sorry, though, I can't lie. Yeah, I absolutely can't stand that kit either. I think it's hideous. I don't think the purple works. I don't even. Oh, gosh, it was such a bad season for Puma to open up with. Like, of all shirts to debut with, that was not it. That really wasn't. It was absolutely just. Ugh. The blue, I don't even feel like proper Man City blue. The purple, it just doesn't go for me. It just doesn't go. But this does go. I really like this blue, and there is not much difference between that blue and this blue. So good. I'm loving the kit. Very good shirt, in my opinion. And I'd probably buy this one because I haven't gotten our last two home kits. I've only gotten away ones because I haven't really liked. I haven't really enjoyed it. The shirts we've had. I don't think 2 seasons ago was awful, but I think this season was just so boring. Just not very nice. But this, so clean, so good. I just can't wait this time. 72 hours. I'm heading down to Wembley. Yeah, bro, huge. And I hope. Oh, man, I'm really excited for that game, but I'm very nervous too. Crystal Palace are a very good team. You know, they are a very good team. So, you know, I'm definitely taking them seriously. Yeah, I think everyone is, to be honest. I'm not saying I'm not the odd one out there. It is a very big game for City, obviously, because it can essentially define our season. If I see us lose back to back at Wembley Connect, we can't have that. We cannot, you know. And the Palace are a very good team. I respect them massively. I think Glasner's doing a great job, but no, we can't lose back to back finals. We can't. You know, we'll be the laughing stock of the Premier League. Then, you know, all this like this poor season already. You know, the big drop off, and then to lose the FA Cup final to Crystal Palace. You know, I rate Crystal Palace, but from an outside looking in perspective, people will look at that and be like, imagine losing it to Crystal Palace, you know? We can't afford to lose. It's too great not to. Because it can define the remainder of this season, in a sense. On this day in 2019, what time? So many players here that just aren't here now. It's most of them, isn't it? Aguero, Delph, Fernandinho, Sane, Otamendi. I think that's Danilo there. Can't quite tell who's there. Bernardo is still here. Just about see him. There's De Bruyne. Zinchenko. So many players. I went to the final last year, if you remember, too. That absolute disaster. I just can't believe how we played. We gotta have our head screwed on. Oh, yeah. Now you do mention, I do remember you going to that. Oh, that was so bad. We looked so off the pace. Like, we made United look amazing. To be fair, they weren't bad. You know, they were good, but we certainly didn't help ourselves there, did we? All right, then. So, let's pull up a lineup maker, shall we, very quickly? I'm just going to get the right thing up. So, there you go. We'll go there. We're gonna try and do this in a sense of our new kit. No, it's not quite that blue, is it? I think that's more accurate. There you go. I really hope Palace don't sit back. I really have a bad thing in playing Marmoush. That he needs to learn, because he absolutely needs to learn to play Marmoush, because I know Haaland is fit. I'm not saying bench Haaland for Marmoush. You can easily fit them on the same field together, if you ask me. Bear in mind, Marmoush was playing a lot of his football whilst Haaland was out on that left-hand side, kind of drifting in. I think you can play him on left wing, okay? As long as it's not right wing, it's fine. Play him on left wing, keep Kevin De Bruyne in the central area. Okay, he would have had a big long rest from the Southampton game. And right wing, I don't know, take your pick, you know? You absolutely need those two. Once the season is done, I never want to see our kit again home. Yeah, I know, I can't stand this home kit. And also, it's just going to bring back bad memories, isn't it? Just bad memories. You know what? I also quite like our goalkeeper kits this season. I'm not too sure what the green is exactly, but I am quite a fan of them. I like the fading writing. I think it's a really good look. I'm not too sure if that's quite right. But in goal, should we start elsewhere on the field? Let's get some like the obvious players that are going to be here. Like Haaland is going to be our main number 9. I'm willing to spice it up a bit. I'm willing to throw Marmoush in there. For Rodri in the pivot. Because like these are like nailed on placements, if you ask me. 4-0 Spurs, 4-0 Spurs, 4-0 Spurs, 4-0 Spurs. Yeah, also the horrific derby, you know. Just the 4-0 Spurs there. That broke our home record. That's the worst bit about that. That is the worst bit about that. Not just losing to Spurs, but getting battered by Spurs and that breaking our unbeaten home record. Oh, gosh. It was... just kept getting worse, didn't it? Now then. Who's going to be left back? Because do you think Pep's going to put Vardio back here? Because, again, I've really liked Vardio at centre-back, but it looks like he might stick Vardio there. Again, make him that position more. I'm really not sure. Oh, as for centre-back pairing, I think it's going to be Diaz, and we're going to push for Kusanov too. Why not? I don't necessarily think it will be this, but I would like to see it. I like Kusanov. Hopefully he'll be back. Aitnauri, in my opinion. Oh yeah, I saw you did a stream about that, or at least he was in your thumbnail. What was the source on that? Like, where have you seen that? Because I didn't see it. Aitnauri, Man City. Aitnauri. Sorry, Kanji, we cannot be going into next season as him as a starter. He needs to go back to being 5th choice for now, like when he joined. That was the beauty of the Akanji signing. Okay? The beauty of it was that he wasn't a starting centre-back. He was a brilliant 5th choice centre-back. You know? Signing Akanji would be madness, as he's so useful in positions to BH. Again, I do agree with that. I do think Akanji is one of those guys that can do you a job. He can slip into right back. He can slip you into the centre back role, and if you absolutely need him to, he can push forward a bit and go into the middle. Because I remember, if you remember last season, when Akanji was playing in that position, when John Stones was out, he put Akanji in there. So, yeah. Akanji is good to have for me. He's not one of the guys that we should be getting rid of, in my opinion, like you've said. Yeah, just trying to find Aitnauri rumours to Man City. I Can't find it. I mean, I don't dislike Night Nowry. He's decent age profile to my knowledge. He's like early 20s. Night Nowry. How old? Yeah, 23. He's 23 years old, 24 in June, so 24 by the time we sign him. Okay, that's solid age profile. He's not super old. Rodri really needs to be saved and limited. I don't want him playing one cup game or one relegation game, team game at all. Yeah, look, for Rodri, I think we need to, like you've quite rightly said, we need to be careful with him. We need to learn from what has happened. Even next season, when he's like fully back and fit, don't go starting him every single game. Ease him back into it. But not being in football for so long it's more than just recovering from the injury. It's also getting back into that routine of going onto the football pitch three games a week, you know? You've got to be more careful. You know, I don't want to see him cup games. That's why we've got Nico Gonzalez now and whoever else is there. They can help out. We've got Nico Gonzalez. Gundogan, whoever slips next to him can help out too. All right? We don't need to play him every game. We must learn from that. Otherwise, you're just going to give him another ACL. All right? You're just going to get him hurt again. We need to learn. That's the important thing. Anyway, those signings, I'm going to go Costa in net because that is looking... I know the rumours kind of simmered down, but at the moment, Costa is looking like a potential signing for City. I'll just put the one on him because why not? You know, I mean, he's a decent keeper. He worries me. I feel like he's just... There's that worry factor. You know, I'm worried that if he comes to City, then imagine like he comes to City and he has that what is it? Yeah, like an Andre Onana situation. Because Andre Onana at Inter Milan wasn't bad. He was actually pretty solid. Came to United, stunk up the park. You know, that's how simple it can be of a goalkeeper. I know this will never happen, but I'd love Donnarumma at City if I was the manager. What about you? He could be available for cheap in the summer. Well, his contract running down. That's all I can think of that would allow that. And yeah, what would I think to Donnarumma? Yeah, I would love Donnarumma. He seems such a top keeper. He's only been brilliant since playing for PSG, to my knowledge, as well. What's his contract got? Yeah, 2026. Hey, for me, if Costa is going to cost you, roughly like 50, 60 million, if you can get this guy for a similar price, you get that. You go for that. You know, you absolutely go for that. If we could save pennies, this is smart business here. Signing a top keeper, okay? You've got a big pull at Man City. You know, we'll say you're a part of the rebuild. You know, you're 26 years old. You're going to be our number one. You know, there's no doubt about it that it's a good move. Like, you've got the pull. PSG, the solid team. And if they win Champions League, then he might even feel like if he wins Champions League, I've done everything there is to do in French League now. You know, because what? I go to his trophy cabinet. He's won the French Cup. He's obviously won the French Super Cup as well. He's won the French Champions too. You know, he's done that 4 years on the trot. You know, he's done everything there is in PSG. Now he might be thinking, maybe now I can go out to another league whilst I'm 26, I'm still good, I'm in my prime years. I could go to a league like the Prem Or, hey, look, even the Liga, and I could take my game to another level and really, really spread my strengths across the world. He'd win as a few UCLs, easily saved so many pens. Yeah, penalties he's so good on. I bet you love him when he stopped England winning the Euros. Donnarumma would be great. It would be great for him to leave on a trophy. Yeah, I know. It's leaving. You've done everything there is. You've done it. Now you can go out. Well, you've still got a good few years left at the top of your game. Go out there and to another league. You could be at City for a few years. Then, depending on how he's doing, depending on what we think, depending on what he thinks, he could even leave and go to another club. Not that I'd want that, okay, but that is the kind of situation that you could see him in, because he's done it in Italy. He's done it in France. If he comes to City, he'll probably do it in England, and then if he goes to Spain, he could probably do it in Spain too. That would establish him as, like, across the board, just a brilliant goalie. And he'd be an icon in some sense. Only playing for big teams too. AC Milan, PSG, City, and what? Barca, Real Madrid, Atletico, whoever took him. I bet you loved him when he stopped England winning the Euros. Yeah, I was clapping. I couldn't believe Jorginho didn't score the pen. I was like, nah, no way, that guy don't miss him. He's got that technique. What goes in happens. Blake Pickford saves it, and then who was it that stepped up? Was it Saka? Well, I think that Saka did that young. Crazy. But still, Donnarumma saved it and I was clapping. Why is Ruben Diaz becoming a social media star? Have about learn how to head a ball. Yeah, Diaz, man. I saw that he's got a YouTube channel. Like, not that he needs it, man. he's in no need for a YouTube channel. Just, yeah, like you said, focus on heading a ball. Work on yourself. Don't go wasting time making YouTube videos, man. Leave that to me. And not embarrass us in interviews. Gosh, that was such a hard watch, by the way, and such a hard read too. It was so bad. City Extra latest tweet. All right, you got it. Let's have a look. Yeah, just seen it. Rodri for captain, I beg. I think it's the right direction to go down, but man, it's going to be interesting who's club captain next season, isn't it? Let's go back over to here. Looking at that Wirtz rumour, I want to throw him in. We'll throw him in here. What number should we give him? Should we just give him number 17? You could give him number 21. What are you thinking? We'll make him numberless for now. We'll make all these guys numberless for now, and then we'll go back to numbers. Now then, in the pivot, are we saying Nico G? Nico Gonzalez? Because it could very well be. Now, I know he's not a traditional, not a traditional 6, but could be a situation of 2 8s that, do that role together, similar to Rodri and Kova, because, I do rate Gibbs White. I do think Gibbs White can do that stuff. And if Grealish doesn't leave, I'm sorry, he should give up his number. It'll be 10 easily, in my opinion. Yeah, it just depends on whether Grealish does leave, because I believe City... I remember City... When we signed Haaland, and if you remember, Haaland didn't get his shirt number straight away, a tweet came out, that's like a quote, I remember reading it on City Extra, and they were like, it was a club like Kitman or something like that, and they were like, we don't take numbers off of players. Like, if they want to remove it, they can, but we will not strip them of it, if you get me. It just depends whether Grealish wants to actually get rid of his number. Now, look, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but wouldn't it be seen? You know, there's no doubt that we're reaching a bit with Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo is quite a reach. If no Verts, Reinders and Gibbs White. 2 8s. That's a solid midfield. But yeah, we'll go Reinders because I feel like he's been the guy we've been linked with a bit more recently. Oh, spelled that wrong. How do you spell his name? Oh, I had it. I was close. We'll do kit numbers in just a moment. Sorry, but number 10 can't be someone who has who started one game last week. Rodrigo ain't a reach in my opinion. He's definitely leaving Madrid and he loves City. I get that. I do. I just it feels in my mind can't compute a summer that we end up with Wirtz and Rodrigo. That feels like a fever dream, in my opinion. Would I say no? Absolutely not. I'd be a madman. But it just feels like I feel like I'm playing FIFA if that happened, you know? This type of thing I've done on FIFA before, signing those guys. It's just like my mind can't see it. I can see Wirtz on his own. I can see Rodrigo on his own. I just can't see both. But we'll throw him in anyway. With how bad this league is, maybe 105 points if we get that. Yeah. I mean, that would be... By the way, that front four is lethal. That is one of the most lethal front fours I've ever seen. Marmoush with over 30 GNA in all comps this season. Erling Haaland this season, in one of City's worst seasons in recent years, over 20 goals still? Wirtz, the Bundesliga's hottest young talent, taking up the mantle of Kevin De Bruyne, and Rodrigo, the guy who doesn't get to shine at Madrid, but will slip into City's team and help out. It's such a glorious thing to look at. Can we talk about the nuisance in this fan base saying Savini Doku better than Rodrigo, and Rodrigo would have no use? I still think if you do sign Rodrigo, I think there is more than enough space in this team for Savinho and Doku. Because do you know what I think every single football team in the world needs to have to win, to succeed? I think you need to have competition. I think you need to be kept on your toes. I think you need to not be comfortable. You know, I think you absolutely need to know that your spot is not guaranteed. Competition is the most healthy thing to have in football, in my opinion. And without it, you're going to struggle. Because players will get complacent, you know. They'll think, oh, I messed up, but I will start the next game. Not every player is like that. Okay, every player's like, oh, I messed up. I want to improve. I want to be better. But some players might be. Savinho, top talent for Brazil, developing with us, competing with Rodrigo. And Doku, a guy that can just turn up like that out of nowhere and can blow your socks off, competing with Marmoush. And vice versa. People aren't like we only have 11 spaces in a squad. No. It's why having Alvarez was such a beautiful thing to do. Alvarez was so good for competing with Erling. You know, Erling, I felt like he had to be on his toes to some level. This season, everyone had a bad game after game. It kept starting because of the squad. Yeah, I mean, man, remember the amount of times that midfield started together? It just wasn't working. Connect, I think I might back myself in a shooting challenge with Savinho. What about you? You know what? I don't know how much I fancy myself because I won't lie. My shooting is not too great. But if there's any player in the City squad, I'm picking Savinho. That's including the goalkeepers. Genuinely, I'm picking Savinho because his finishing is out of this world and not in a good way. Genuinely, he misses sitters. He reminds me of Sterling, but Sterling at least scored a bit more. I want all the best. I want all the best for Savinho. And right back seems to be the area that we got just a ton of options for. Because there's Wesley, who plays for Flamengo. I don't know why he's not here. There's Savona, who plays for Juventus. There is Cambiasso, who also plays for Juventus. I don't want this guy. And then there's Livramento, who plays for Newcastle. They seem to be our 4 right backs that Fabrizio said that were linked to. He was never like that in Girona, so IDK, what happened, CBH? Maybe just nerves or something, I don't know. Because assisting, he's not bad. He's got some of the most in the squad. Livramento not going to happen. Did you see the news today? I saw the news from City. I saw a tweet from Fabrizio saying that that we shortlisted him. Where's the news on Livramento? I'll keep scrolling. Maybe I'm just wrong. Well, this is City's home kit. As a YouTuber, I'm going into yesterday territory now. Maybe I've gone too far. Maybe I just missed it. Haaland. Dani Olmo. We're not getting Dani Olmo. No way. Oh, here we go. Big Oshóva sending it over. Any attempt from Man City to pursue a deal for Tino Livramento will be swiftly rejected. Eddie Howe and the recruitment team seeing him as a future part for the club plans. To be honest, doesn't surprise me. I think I mentioned it in the stream I did yesterday. This doesn't really surprise me. Livramento, you look at Kieran Trippier. Just deleted my tab for some reason. You look at Kieran Trippier. Not that he's bad, but he's getting older. He's 32, maybe. He might be older, he might be younger. But he's at least in his 30s. 34, never mind. I gave bro too much credit. He's going to be 35 in September. He's not getting younger, Kieran Trippier. Tino Livramento is obviously the long-term right back for them. And, he's not a bad option for it, to be fair. Yeah, but the race for it is on. It's going to be something. No to Dani Olmo, injury-prone guy. Yeah, I know. Don't get me wrong. Every time Dani Olmo plays, he seems to play pretty well. But he seems to be injury-prone too. Don't get me wrong. If we could have gotten him for free in January when that was a rumour, and that could have happened because of Barcelona's registration problems, yeah, I would have taken him in a heartbeat. But again, when he plays, he's good. But he's only played 35% of the minutes for Barcelona this season. Just have a look at his injury history. It's not pretty. Let me click over. 3 injuries this season. He's missed 20 games. He missed 25 last season, 20 the season before, 19 the season before that. He's missing at least 20 games in a season by the looks of it. It's not a good look. And if you're spending 60 million-ish on a player that is just going to get injured, you are asking yourself for a waste of 60 million. 60 million that could go towards Florian Wirtz, Rangers, a goalkeeper, a right back, Gibbs White, you name him. Now then, when it comes to the right back though, the area that I've been struggling on, I'm not 100% sure on who we're going to get, but if I had to take a guess, I fear it's going to be Cambiasso. I don't want Cambiasso. Let me be clear. I don't want him. But I think that this is going to be the direction we get. You know who's moaning with 45 people watching and saying it's not good enough? What was his name? Luca? Blink. 45 people watching is mint. I take that in a heartbeat. I've only had that once. It was one of my Kusano streams. I think the official announcement stream of the Here We Go. I had 50 Uzbekistan tuning in, and then a few other City fans. Bro, chill. 45 people. You get that in a regular stream. You should be chilling. Love that. Cherish that. Now, this is the City squad of 5 new additions, and I do genuinely think that is a realistic number. Now, let's lob some numbers onto these guys, shall we? Should we lob a 10 onto Wirtz? Okay, we'll assume that Grealish ain't going to be here. What are we thinking to a 21 on Rodrigo? Because Doku's 11. Marmoush is obviously 7. 10 is obviously just going to be taken up. What are we thinking of Rodrigo? And 21. I got 350 on my Kusano stream. Lol, I was in dreamland. I know it was insane times. It was genuinely insane. I'd never seen anything like it. 21 would be nice, yeah. Cambiasso. What would Cambiasso have? I'm just trying to think of numbers that haven't been taken up. Might say 15. Oh, 2, of course. I completely scrubbed Kyle Walker from my mind. I completely forgot about that number. And hey, we could very well see that. Because Calvin Phillips needs to go. Calvin Phillips needs to go. He cannot be here. We gotta get that guy gone. Don't matter who, don't matter where. There must be one club that is willing to pay a smidge of money just so that he's off our books, bro. I do not want to see Calvin Phillips loaned out again. Rangers ain't a DM though. Yeah, he is a bit more box to box. He'd be number 8 in my opinion, or whatever midfielder leaves. Yeah, could see that. He could even be 5 if John Stones leaves. He could very well be that. go 8. Why not? We'll go 8. And Costa. He wears the number 99 in Portugal. Will he continue wearing that? Will he wear the number 1, or will he wear something different? Because our number 1 has been around since Claudio Bravo left. By the way, what did Barca do to Gundo's shooting ability, though? Yeah, no, Gundo used to be mint at finishing. I don't know. He scored a solid amount of goals for Barca. You know, bear in mind his age and whatnot. We go to Okay Gundogan real quick. Go over to that. Click share. Yeah, he scored 5 goals. To be fair, I thought it was the other way around. But that's 3 more than he scored for us. You know, all in the league. Yeah, I don't know. Must have sapped out all the goals they had left. Yeah, he got 11 for us in treble season. Look, I don't really see us giving up the number 1 shirt just yet. If there was a time, I think that this is now. But I think Costa might just want to stick with 99. I do. Keepers do tend to wear it. I know Donnarumma's similar. I'm not really liking that shade of green. I think I got it wrong. Go for that. But yeah, that I think is how City could line up next season. We'll do a bench real quick. The man behind them. I'm not too sure who'll be behind him, but behind Cambiasso, look, I don't know what's going to happen to him yet, but we could say Nunes. Diaz, Akanji, Kusanov, Ake. Now, I know he doesn't play. I know this isn't going to be his long-term position, but for now, he could very well be O'Reilly. Remember, certain players will rotate with certain players. Like Marmoush might play striker 1 game, and Phil Foden might go on the wing. You know, Edison Defo has a say in our goalkeeper kits. We always have yellow and green kit. Yellow, green, yellow kit. No, green, yellow kit. Edison definitely chooses that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I really like this season's one. I really do. Behind Rodrigo, I guess will be Savinho. Behind Marmoush would be Doku. Behind Wirtz would be Foden. Behind Rodri would be Nico G. Behind Rangers would be Gundo. We don't really know who's going to be behind Costa at the moment, do we? Or whoever is the goalkeeper, because Ortega could very well be out. So, you know what? Why not? We never speak about him, but this guy could also be on the way out, to be fair. Scott Carson. Yeah, we still don't know whether Carson's going to extend or not. And that just leaves Haaland up top. And to be honest, it's probably going to be Marmoush that rotates with him here as well, because he does play that position. But there you go. That's how City could line up next season. A starting 11 of Costa, Cambiasso, Diaz, Kusanov, and Vardio, with Reinders and Rodri as our pivot. Rodrigo on the right, Marmoush on the left, Wirtz at the 10, Haaland up top, and on our bench behind each player, Scott Carson at the moment. That could very well change. That could be Edison, that could be Ortega. Cambiasso has Mateus Nunes behind him. Kanji and Ake are the backup centre backs. Nico Riley is our backup left back, who will help rotate with Rodri. Nico Gonzalez is behind Rodri. Ilkay Gundogan is behind Rangers. Behind Rodrigo is Brazilian partner Savinho. Behind Wirtz is Phil Foden. Behind Marmoush is Jeremy Doku. And behind Haaland is Marmoush, if we need Marmoush at striker for a game. But there you go. That really concludes how I think City could line up next season. We spoke about a lot of different news too. The home shirt, Livramento getting shut down, and all sorts of other stuff. But look, big ups to everyone who tuned in. I appreciate the support as per usual. Big ups to this is City, who was here for all of it. So really do appreciate the support as per usual. And yeah, that's it from me tonight. Everyone, hope you have a great night. And yeah, I'll definitely see you all in the next one.